Hey guys, Troy Francis here, coming at you from Milan in Italy. You still don't get how desperately hard it is and how fantastically easy it really could be. You don't understand how fantastically, traumatically complicated and challenging the dating marketplace has become over the last 10 to 15 years. I certainly do, because I have experienced it, right? I have lived all the way through it. I am in my late 40s and I haven't been married. I've certainly been in some long-term relationships, but I haven't really ever left the dating marketplace entirely, in the sense of, getting married, getting engaged, settling down, or any of that good stuff. And so I have seen the incarnations that it's gone through with the advent of the smartphone, social media, Instagram, the dating apps, the sugar dating apps, and so on and so forth. And it really is now, as we come to the end of 2023, going into 2024, it really is very hard indeed for many guys. And this has been talked about ad infinitum all over the internet, both in the space that I inhabit, which is broadly, I guess, the men's online self-development space, and also just more generally, it's come into the mainstream. There's a lot of articles now talking about the difficulties that men and women actually are having in terms of developing the kind of dating and sex lives that they want, right? I mean, it's difficult, but it's particularly difficult for guys because they're not even getting in at the ground floor, as it were. I mean, if you are a woman who is attractive and you are in your prime, let's say, then you are going to get opportunities, okay? There's no question of that. There are going to be opportunities for you to date and to meet people and to start to play the game. Basically, if you're a guy and you don't have those attributes, and even if you do have some of them, I mean, even if you're a decent looking guy who's in shape and you're 22, 23, your value is nothing like the value of a woman the same age as you, okay? So it's going to be a lot harder for you to even get a footing on the ladder, if you like, of all of this stuff. And that is incredibly dispiriting for a lot of men. And we know that male suicide rates are high and increasing, and we know that male depression is also at an all-time high. And in part, there can be no doubt that the current difficulties that people are having with relationships and us relating to one another contribute strongly to that, okay? There can be no doubt of that fact. It is incredibly hard out there. It's incredibly challenging, particularly if, how can I put this? Particularly if you don't have any distinct advantages playing in your favor. Particularly if, let's just say you don't feel that you are the best looking dude on the planet. You don't feel that you are the wealthiest guy, or you're not the wealthiest guy, in your social setting. You are not in a place where the dating scene is particularly amenable towards you, okay? If you haven't got anything massively going in your favor, it is going to be very, very tough. However, is it all doom and gloom? Absolutely not. Why not? Because, quite simply, let's say these out, quite simply because we are living in one of the most prolific times for dating, if not the most prolific time for dating or for short-term casual relationships, and those can lead into longer-term things, remember, that has ever been. Okay? I mean, it is the most prolific time for this stuff that has ever been. So there must be a way to bridge the divide between those two things. Yes, it's very tough, but equally it's the most prolific time ever. So it almost doesn't make sense, does it, when you put it like that, why there should be this big divide between the two states, but there is for many dudes. What you need to do is relentlessly self-develop. Now, I know this gets said all the time and people are going to flame me because they'll just say, well, why should the onus be on the guy to self-improve, and how much can you actually self-improve if you know, you're this attractive or this unattractive or whatever, etc. But nevertheless, you know, you need to relentlessly self-improve, and you need to really focus on how you come across to the women that you interact with, okay? And I think this is key, right? And we try to articulate it in video after video after video, and you guys still don't really get it. It's easier to impart face-to-face, actually. So when we work with guys in a one-on-one capacity or boot camps and things like that, it's a bit easier to get across then. Because when you're standing with somebody, you know, you're physically in their presence, you can demonstrate things, you can point out things that they're doing and so on. It's kind of easier. But in the absence of that, unless you want to come on some, you know, coaching, one-on-one coaching, which I would of course recommend, and you can email me, Troy at realtroyfrancis.com. But in the absence of that, you've got to think very carefully about how you're actually coming across to the women that you meet when you're out and about. Now that might be, you know, in the nightclub, that might be in the bar, that might be at the coffee shop, or it may be from the Tinder date, you know, on a Tinder date or a Bumble date or whatever. How are you actually coming across? That is the key thing that's going to make the difference. Are you coming across as a sexually confident but somewhat mysterious guy with an interesting life who's got stuff going on, okay? Who is able to bring her into something that is exciting, bring her into his aura, which is an aura that is in itself enticing and enchanting and exhilarating, and is outside of the normal realm of her quotidian, day-to-day, boring existence, all right? Are you doing that, or are you not doing that? If you're not doing that, then unfortunately, you are going to find that you're not getting the success you could otherwise be getting, okay? And it's not necessarily about looks. It's not necessarily about money. It's not necessarily about social status. Do those things matter? Yes, of course they do. And we should all be working every day to improve ourselves in all of those areas, you know, finance, the way that we look, the way that we dress, the way that we present ourselves, and all of that kind of stuff. But even then, and this is really what we talk about in our course, The Edge, which is opening again very soon with myself, James, Tusk and Les. What we teach in that course is a formula for actually how to come across, because you can tick a lot of those boxes, right? You can be decent looking, you can be in great shape, you can have a decent job, or at least have, you know, some good money or whatever. You can have a pretty nice lifestyle. You can even have all of those things and be quite a social guy. And you can still fail in modern dating. Now, people might say, well, that's just, you know, women's expectations are too high, blah, blah, blah. And there, you know, undoubtedly there's some truth in that. But putting that to one side, because we can't control that necessarily, we can only control what we can control, which is ourselves. What can you do? Well, you can make yourself into a more exciting prospect, okay? And the way of doing that is, the shorthand that we've created for that is to have edge, okay? But you've got to have something a bit more about you. You've got to have an X factor when you go in and you interact with the woman, because otherwise you're going to go in, you're going to have nice, friendly, quite vanilla, bland conversations, and then you're going to get ghosted, you're going to get rejected, she's going to go off with your best friend, she's going to date you for a couple of days, a couple of times, and then just ignore you. It's not going to end well, okay? There needs to be something else, all right? There needs, and that something else needs to come from you, I'm afraid, because men are the performative gender, the onus is on us. Women are the ones in demand. We are not in demand in the same way. So we're the ones who have to step up to the plate. You have to, we're passing the teatro philodramatic here. You have to make it more exciting. You have to make yourself a more exhilarating proposition for her. You have to be magnetic. You have to be fascinating, really. You have to make yourself more fascinating when you first go into these interactions. If you're not doing that, then yes, you can complain about the state of current dating, you can complain about modern women and their expectations and blah, 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 but you are not putting yourself in the best possible position. And the best way to look at this, and we talk about this sometimes when we teach groups of guys, is when you look at these guys, when you look at yourself objectively, would you actually date yourself? Right, if you're a hot, young woman with all of the many options that she has at her feet, would you actually date yourself? And if the answer, being brutally honest to that, is no, then clearly there's work to be done. Okay, just watch a James Bond film, for God's sake. Just watch Daniel Craig in one of those movies. Is there more to the conversation than him just being nice and friendly and having a linear exchange of information with the women that he interacts with? Yes, obviously, there's a fuck of a lot more, okay? It's about his tonality, it's about his dominance, it's about his eye contact, it's about the way, his proximity to the woman, his use of touch, okay? His use of double entendre, his use of slightly sexualized humor, okay? All of these things in concert create that attractive avatar that he has, not on top of the fact that he is good looking, he is in great shape, he is well dressed, he has an exciting life, etc., etc., etc. We need to be focusing on how we can bring out all of these attributes in concert when we are interacting with those women that we find desirable, because that is going to be the way that we're going to turn the dial, okay? Anyway, with that being said, please do subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. You can also grab my collection of 11 books about all of this stuff, about dating, the dating scene, so on and so forth. Renegade Dating Blueprint, the link is below. I'll see you guys again very soon. Bye-bye.
Quick one, myself, Les and Troy have produced the linchpin course to take you from nice, innocent boys to highly sexual men with unlimited dating options. The Edge 3 is coming. And then the Edge 3 plus Bogota Bootcamp, which is the crazy kind of graduation bootcamp, anything goes bootcamp, night game, day game, grey area dating app game, anything goes in March 2024. It's going to be absolutely amazing. This has been a long time in the pipeline. Myself and Troy have redeveloped the previous Edge course, and we're combining 25 years worth of experience in the elite men's dating industry to bring you a course which is going to change your lives. We've got some of the world's leading experts for different areas. The linchpin areas, sexual shame, developing sexual confidence, Mr. Bonaparte, elite sex coach for men, and we've got Dave Lee, the male hormone optimization side of things, who bring in vast amounts of knowledge, and a host of other experts, myself, Les and Troy, coaching you every step of the way in developing the cold approach and the dating process as well. It's going to be incredible. Get in touch, info@jamestusk.com, include your WhatsApp number and the title Edge 3 in the email. We'll see you there.